Yes, you've heard it right. We're talking about Aeon Trespass again. After playing some 20 hours onto this game, we think we have a general impression about the game. If we make a new video, it will only be if we have more than 2 campaigns in. This review will be divided in 3 parts. The first will be a general overview of the game. The second part is about the campaign, and the last part will be about the battle system. So first, a general overview of this game. This game can't be played without spending at least a substantial part of your time looking up a rule in the rulebook. We found it didn't break our game, but there were definitely some moments where we had to leave a sigh when we were looking up a new rule or we have forgotten an old rule. It happened more than once that we had to start a battle over because we forgot a very important rule or piece of equipment. This game is huge. It doesn't matter if you're talking about playtime, table space, rules, equipment, fun, and the amount of surprises. It's all huge. Talking about table space, the campaign board is good for most tables, but the battle map, clear your table. Your game will thank you. In our experience, playing this game at 2 players on an evening usually takes up 4 to 6 hours of your time. We were able to play 1 battle and or 1 campaign round of 6 timeline steps. Before playing the game, take all the cards the game has and sort them. This is not an option. Use rubber bands or whatever you have, but do not make the same mistake we made by having it all sorted according to how we got the game. And if you unlock a card, it would have made it so much better if they told you what kind of card it is, preferably with a small picture alongside it. We have been looking for a card in the wrong stack size only to figure out that it was an oversized one, not a small one. So the storyline. Well, to be honest, there is a lot of storyline in these books. But because a lot has references to ancient Greek mythology, most of it doesn't really stick in my head. And for the non-native English speakers, reading it out loud, it usually just sounds like a car crash, where the one is trying to decipher the text and the other is trying to decipher what the other is actually saying. Where is the Foreteller app? So, on to the second part, the campaign. To start a campaign of Aeon Trespass Odyssey, you need to have printed the aggro sheet. On it you will find all kinds of things you will need to cross off or write on when progressing the campaign. We found that it worked okay. Where adding and subtracting resources, we found it inconvenient. Having the app is quite an improvement, but it has its downsides in the fact that you sometimes need to search very well where some stats are hidden. We haven't found the right place to note the R&R level and the inward Odyssey track, so we wrote it on the campaign notes. For such a big game, they did a good job on helping you keep track of your stats, but with 1 update in the app, it's a done deal. The campaign round sequence is divided into 6 main steps: movement, timeline, exploration, expedition, encounter and advancement. One thing we found annoying to some degree the first time we discovered a symbol that we hadn't seen before, it meant we hadn't unlocked that symbol, and thus it meant nothing yet. We went over the rulebook many times before finding this rule out. And in some cases the rules are all over the place. Rules in the campaign map, rules on the cards, rules in the rulebook, or rules on a tech card. So just keep that in mind. We think the fact that certain factions live on the island and you can interact with them and have a status with them is done fantastically. Trying to get on their good side gives you bonuses when drawing the right cards from the exploration deck, and having negative or even neutral relations can hurt you and your crew. The adversary is a fantastic enemy the creators have put into Aeon Trespass Odyssey. Its abilities are fresh and they look awesome, but boy, it is one tough nut to crack. We found that the expedition step hasn't come up that often, but the small side stories are fun. And having made certain choices during the main story will also impact choices you can make with these side stories. We found that very cool. One of the best things in Aeon Trespass Odyssey is the advancement you can make via technology. On the time track, a predetermined type and moment of advancement is set. During this step you can unlock new technologies. These technologies follow a tech tree structure, and it lets you unlock new weapons, armor and structural tech like sailing on rivers or communication skills that can help you speak with the locals. We think they did an excellent job on this. No resources are required, only time in the form of the time track. But crafting gear will cost resources. The crafting of gear is a bit of a mixed bag. We like the amount of stuff you can unlock and craft. Keeping an overview of what you can craft is a bit awkward. On the tech cards it says the name and the required amount of resources you need to craft that gear. It does not say what that gear does. The gear cards do say what they do, but not the cost of crafting. So it feels a bit wonky. We found ourselves reading the tech and gear cards multiple times before choosing a piece of gear. During the campaign and the battles, you might find yourself gathering Memnos cards. These cards let your agronauts get extra stats. Memnos cards can grow thanks to Memnos breakthroughs, hopefully making you even stronger. This is also a great asset to the game, and unlocking them gives you some extra flavor to the game. There is even more to talk about, but let's settle the campaign part and continue to the battle map.
So let's talk about battling primordials in Aeon Trespass, which is the main part of the gameplay in Aeon Trespass. Let's address the elephant in the room first. The battle mechanics of Aeon Trespass are heavily inspired by Kingdom Death Monster. Into the Unknown tried to perfect the mechanics, and they partially succeeded to do so. Let's process a battle round step by step. The primordial is usually the first one to start a battle. The behavior of the primordial is managed by an AI deck in combination with a character sheet, a routine and a signature card. Each turn, one card of the AI deck is turned face up and players perform its instructions step by step. The most common instructions on an AI card regard targeting, movement and attacking. A starting AI deck consists of level 1 cards, but during the combat the AI deck will evolve and the primordial will become more dangerous / powerful. After the primordial has finished its turn, it's time for players to engage into combat. The players can activate their titans in any order. A titan has 2 activations. A titan can move and a titan can attack. Movement is pretty simple. Titans and primordials move vertically and horizontally up to the maximum of their maximum movement speed, indicated on a character sheet. Combat is a little bit more complex. Roughly, combat is divided into 2 tests. The first is a dice test to determine if a titan is able to hit a primordial. Simply roll d10 dice, depending on the titan and their loadout, add any modifiers and check if the roll is equal to or higher than the indicated number on the primordial's character sheet. On a miss, nothing happens. On a hit, a second test must be rolled on custom d6 dice. Also, a card is flipped to see which body part of the primordial is attacked. The roll of the d6 must be equal to or exceed the body part's defense value. Depending on the 2 wound roll, a primordial can react being attacked. Your attack, for instance, can trigger a counter attack. All rules are clearly stated on the body part card. When you are able to wound a primordial, the body part is removed from the deck. A new body part card of a higher level will replace the removed card, and an AI card will be swapped out for a higher level AI card. This mechanic is called escalation and it evolves the battle, making the primordial an even tougher opponent to beat. So this is just a general description of the battle sequencing. To keep things understandable, we left a couple of things out. We did not mention any equipment yet, which will grant you defensive or offensive bonuses, and we did not mention the titans evolved during battle too. This depends on the amount of rage you gather during the combat. Weapons, evolving your titan and fate on the Triskelion help mitigate bad rolls and make surviving the combat a little bit more plausible. Besides wounds, there are several status effects which will be disadvantageous or beneficial to a titan. Most battles in Aeon Trespass are hard. It's likely that several of your titans will die during combat. Battles start a little dull due to the lack of mitigation in the few first turns of the combat, but thanks to the escalation mechanic, the battles will become more intense over time. In comparison to Kingdom Death Monster, Aeon Trespass has a little more micromanagement to it, but the escalation is worth it and distinguishes the combat from Kingdom Death Monster for a large part. And now I'm comparing the gameplay to Kingdom Death Monster. I don't like the critical hit mechanic in Aeon Trespass. In my opinion, it's too difficult to get a critical hit. It seems more luck than skill to get it. Also, it's near to impossible to get multiple wounds on a primordial in one hit. A little more risk-reward heavy combat would have perfected the combat in the game. But this is just a minor concern, because I like the game very much. I do think combat in Aeon Trespass is a little more refined than Kingdom Death Monster, but I do like both games equally. Another fun mechanic is that primordials will level up over time. This makes every primordial a worthy opponent, regardless of the progress you already made in the campaign. So the overall summary of the combat in Aeon Trespass is that it is challenging, it is sometimes a little unfair, but it can be really rewarding to play. Sometimes it feels a little sluggish and it will really pause the adventure part for a long time, but it's all worth it and it will keep pushing players to keep upgrading their titans to give them a fighting chance in their next battle. So taking everything into account, we really like Aeon Trespass Odyssey, but there's one major downfall for this game, and that is it's not currently available in retail. If you like such a game as Aeon Trespass, you might consider buying Kingdom Death Monster, but it's currently around £400 for just the base game, so it's a really big investment. You can also wait for the next campaign to come, but because I've heard rumors about a next campaign for Aeon Trespass to come. I don't know when it's going to hit Kickstarter, but it will definitely come. So keep a lookout for this game, because it's really worth your time. Do you agree? Please fill in the comments on this video, leave a like, or even consider subscribing to our channel, and we'll see you in the next video. And if there's any news on Aeon Trespass, we will hit it on YouTube next time.